What is your name?
Ova, O-V-A, C, Huff.
Ova Huff. And where did you serve?
And I was attached to the 94th Division, 1st Battalion, Company B.
Company B. Now, what branch of the service was that?
Infantry.
Infantry. Is that the Army?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
They're the one that goes in and digs you out.
That's right. Them and the Marines. We owe them a lot. You were drafted, is that correct?
I've been drafted and got a letter from FDR. Greetings.
What a way.
How old were you?
20 years old.
20.
Well, actually, I was 19.
Did you grow up here in Logansport?
No, I grew up in Rochester.
Okay. I just drove through Rochester
I
yesterday.
met my wife here. I moved here.
Right.
I lived here.
It works.
That's where she wanted to live.
Right. So then what year were you drafted?
1942.
42. Well, do you remember how that made you feel?
Made me feel like I wanted to go hide somewhere.
Yeah, I would have too. I would have been tempted to get in the river and take off. And what were you doing before the war?
Working on the railroad,
On the railroad?
labor on the old Pennsylvania track.
Yeah. Well, it has a way of changing things once
Oh,
you get
yeah.
that letter.
Well, at those times, jobs were hard to find.
Yeah,
You took what you could get.
I can imagine. So you were drafted and you went to Kansas to boot camp?
I went to Salina, Kansas. Camp Phillips.
Huh. Was boot camp hard back then?
That was the start of boot camp. You were right there. That was where you started your military life. And we got hooked up, drafted into the 94th Division. And unfortunately for us, the division was just being formed and a lot of knotheads for non-coms. They didn't know any more than we did.
Right.
But the division was just being formed.
Right. So where did you go after boot camp?
I went to Kansas, Salina, Kansas, Camp Phillips. Oh, then we traveled a little bit. We went to Tennessee, we went to Mississippi, and then we went to New Jersey.
Yeah.
Then we got on a liner.
Oh no.
Headed for England.
You went to England?
Send you over the puddle, huh?
Yeah.
What was it like when you arrived at England?
Well, there was so many of us.
Yeah.
Our customs stayed pretty much, like they were.
Right.
But the guys that were in touch with England, their life was different.
I see.
But ours was pretty much the same.
Right.
And then from England you went where?
France.
And that was right in the middle of the war, huh? The Germans down near destroyed France, didn't they?
Oh boy. They did. They just deliberately destroy a house.
Mm-hmm.
In France, in the countryside,
Mm-hmm.
most of your homes were stone
Right.
with a straw roof. Germans set them on fire.
Oh.
Were you there in the winter
And summer
and summer?
or fall.
What kind of equipment did you have?
Well, regular Army issue clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a machine gun 30 caliber and a 45.
I remember my grandpa saying how cold it used to be. That they really were cold a lot.
Colder than Billy.
Yeah. The fellow that we talked to last week, Wayne, his job was to guard bridges. He talked about that they would take bombs and bomb the center span of the bridge, and they would drop it out so that you couldn't cross one way or the other. And he was supposed to be there for 1 day, but after that he had gotten dropped off, the guys who were supposed to come back and get him got attacked, and so he was there for a whole week with 1 day's worth of provisions. So he had to go into the local village to be able to get food and eggs and bacon and things like that from the locals in order just to survive. And they would take it and cook it under the bridge and then get back in their foxholes and wait. But it was 7 days before anybody came and finally got them, and they were actually reported as missing back home. But then they had to come back and say, oh no, never mind, we found them.
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam. And he got such a kick out of that because he has the newspaper clipping showing where he was reported as MIA, but now he's back here in Logansport living.
I had an aunt. They lived out by Lewisburg. And she kept all the newspaper clippings of our service.
Did she? Did you have any brothers that went as well?
One brother.
One brother?
And he was in Italy. He landed in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And he stayed there during the duration of the war.
Right.
He used to show the people how to live, I guess.
Taught them how it was done American style.
Did you primarily stay in France the whole time you were in the war?
No, I was in England, Ireland, France, Germany, Czechoslovakia, several countries.
Were you captured in France?
In France.
Do I remember you telling me you walked all the way to Germany?
Oh, to about 300 miles.
How long did that take?
Oh, I don't know. That time didn't mean much to you.
Yeah. I would imagine in the thick of that, because that's the heart of where all the fighting was, that at that point it feels like it's never going to end.
Well, you got that feeling. And the thing of it is, you know, when you're captured, the first thing you do is just strip you.
Yeah.
You got no weapons whatsoever. So you're helpless.
Right. That would probably be the worst feeling, to be with enemies and to be stripped, you know.
And not understand what they were saying.
Yeah.
You know, my grandfolks, they spoke German. I remembered enough that I could catch what they were saying here and there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But my father, grandfolks, they spoke.
I read the book called The Hiding Place by a woman named Corrie Ten Boom. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
She talked about when her and her sister went to the concentration camp, that they had to make up stuff to do because otherwise the days just went forever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and she talked about having to stand at attention in the freezing cold, sometimes just for their amusement. And,
That's right.
and she would talk about how their
They
legs would get so
tortured you.
swollen. Yeah.
Really, for it amounted to torture.
That's what she talked about. It's an exceptional book. I really enjoyed
We
it.
run into one of them camps, I know.
Yeah.
I've seen firsthand what the poor people went through.
The fellow we talked to last week, after he had been done with his fighting part, then I don't know where it was at, but they sent him to a place where he actually cared for the people who were coming out of the concentration camps. And he talked about leaving their boots on them so they would weigh 5 pounds heavier to give them a sense of hope, you know, because he didn't want them to understand how frail they had become.
Yeah.
and his superior came down and said, "Take them boots off. We want to know exactly what they weigh." And he said, "Yes, sir." And as soon as he was down the hall, he said, "Put the boots back on."
Get them on
Do
there.
you remember what camp you went to?
Stellar 11B.
I'm gonna look that up, Ova. I didn't know that you had seen that. I want to look that up. I think it's important that history be told.
You were there for 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually 9 months. The article
Yeah, I
was a
knew it was
misprint.
9 months.
So
yeah.
9 months.
Misprint.
So how did the capture happen then? Like, were you guys just surrounded?
There was no ammunition.
Oh. And they still took your guns even without the bullets.
No. We went out to rescue 3 men.
I see.
We got through the Jordan lines.
Mm-hmm.
We got the fellas we wanted. Then we ran out of ammunition. Had to give up.
Were there a lot of you?
9 of us.
So I would imagine it was a hard fight to get to the men.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We ran out of all. See, all the ammunition you had was what you could carry.
Right.
That only lasts so long.
Yeah, because you can only walk so far and carry so much. I mean, ammo's heavy. Like,
Yeah.
so then the men that you went after, then were they captured along with you guys then?
Oh, yes.
Everybody got taken in?
Yeah. But a couple of our guys that was with us, they starved to death. Literally, you could watch them fall over. And then the pitiful part of it was, the German had a big hole outside that camp. You died. The guard would come in and say, you. Put him in that cart. 2 big old cart. Take him out through that hole and dump him in.
Mm-hmm.
Cover him with lime. Goodbye.
That would be even harder knowing that you knew the people. That would make a very difficult time.
What did they feed you? They didn't feed you at all?
Well, once a day sometimes. You got a cup, horse meat, and hot water. They called it soup. That was your meal.
That doesn't sound like a great meal.
Did they eat? Did they have provisions? Or were they without as well?
They were feeding prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
They were different.
Right. I didn't know if they didn't have provisions themselves
No,
or...
no. Well, they didn't have the first, grade A, but they got better than what we got.
In Corrie ten Boom's account, she talks about one night it was Hitler's birthday, and they were doing it up really big, and they had
always having a party.
a ton of food and alcohol and everything, and so they had the starving people outside while the guards and everybody tied one on inside and ate till they made themselves sick. And it was just the parallel of it is crazy.
Yeah, they had some wild parties.
So when you guys were in your bunks and they were having their parties, could you hear them?
You know what my bunk was?
What's that?
A bale of straw.
That was it.
That was my bunk.
How many people did they cram into one room?
We was on a farm, in a big old barn. There's 300 of us in there.
In one barn. Man. So what did you think about while you were there that gave you the strength to get through?
We gather up and talk about going home.
Yeah. Now, I wasn't recording when you were talking about your wife, so you were already married by the time
Oh,
you went
yeah.
over.
Yep.
I bet that was probably very hard on her, too.
Yeah, well, I went, 8 or 9 months. She never heard a word from us.
Man,
She got a letter that we were missing in action.
right.
And 8 or 9 months later, they told her where we were.
So the farm that you were on, was that in Germany then? Did they send you from France to Germany?
Yeah, it was in Germany.
Yeah. Did they send you in the cattle cars?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cattle cars. And those cars were so stacked, you couldn't lay down.
Yeah.
You had to stand up
Oh.
for about 3 days.
I've heard about the heat, that because you have that many bodies pressed together in there, that it just becomes horribly hot and no
Oh, yeah.
water.
No water.
No water. So then, after 9 months, and you got to leave the concentration camp, was that because liberation had happened, or how did that come about?
General Montgomery, desert rat, had a latrine out behind the place. I
Right.
went out there one morning and I looked up, coming over the hill, I seen a column of tanks.
I bet your
Up there
heart
full
almost
of
stopped.
smoke. I seen a British flag,
Oh, man.
the greatest sight in the world.
What did you do?
Oh, I yelled, tickle pink.
I bet. So when they came, was there a battle over liberating the camp, or?
Oh, when they seen that column of tanks, they went like a bunch of fleas. Went everywhere. We was all alone when they got there.
Right.
When the British got there.
They said, we're out of here, boys. So then, where did you go from the camp?
We went to Oxford, England.
Okay.
They took us to the nearest airport, put us on a bomber, bang, we went back to Oxford, England.
Right. And
Is that where you got the coat?
Yeah.
Was in England?
Yep.
So when you get to England, you didn't have the right clothing to stay warm, correct?
First thing they done was cleaned us up
Right.
and fed us.
Right.
Then they started questions.
Right. Yeah, because I think that's something that a lot of people now don't realize, is that the concentration camps were not known about during the war.
Right. The severity
Right.
of the treatment,
Right.
they did not know.
Yeah. So then, how long before the war ended was it that you went to England?
Oh, we was there for 10 hours.
Okay.
After England hit us,
Right.
12, 14 hours.
And then you were in
As soon as they
England.
got things organized,
Right.
they put us on trucks, transported us to the airport,
Right.
the nearest one, and went back to England.
So then, out of the group that went in with you, that was attacked and went in with you, how many of you guys came out of the camp?
Oh, maybe half.
Half.
Was it during the rescue? Is that when you were shot in the arm?
Do what?
When were you shot in your arm? You were shot once or twice?
Oh, I was shot during a battle. Took me back to first aid or the medical thing. Bandaged you up, cleaned you up, sent you back where you started from.
Oh no. Oh no.
Were there women that worked in those medical camps over there?
When we got back to England, yeah, there's all kind of women, nurses. But on that front lines, no, I never seen one.
Times have changed now, haven't they?
Oh, yeah.
So then from England, then they probably did a lot of medical testing on you
Oh.
and gave you antibiotics
I
and
stayed in England for, probably 2 months.
were you able to contact your wife from England?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I bet you she was glad to hear your voice.
Oh, yes. We stayed there. Then they sent us home. And I always laugh. Master Sergeant says, "Fella, I'm going to give you a vacation for 3 months." So he sent us home. Stayed home 3 months.
3 months.
Then they sent us down to Florida, Miami. Stayed there in a luxury hotel. Right across the street, big fancy cafeteria. Here's your ticket.
Right.
Eat what you want.
Was that when the war was over then?
The war was over.
So you went from
We was
England to
being
where in the United States?
We was being rehabilitated. I was home and down in Florida. Then they sent me back to New Jersey. And from New Jersey, went to Logansport.
I bet you that was a great day
Oh,
coming
yeah.
back here, huh?
Yep.
Being back in Logansport. My grandfather, when he got out of World War II and it was over, they were in New York City and they were celebrating, and he wasn't married yet. So him and his army buddy took these 2 ladies out, and it was just when pizza, because that's how the United States
Yeah.
learned about pizza. So they had heard about this pizza, so they took these 2 ladies out to dinner, and they wanted to try this new pizza, and they ordered 4 pizzas because there was 4 of them.
Probably.
They were eating pizza for days.
I guess.
So then after you were done with the military, then what did you do? Like, what was your job?
I went back to the Pennsylvania Railroad. And one of my friends talked me into going to an apprenticeship school. I went to electrical apprenticeship school
Okay.
for 4 years, and I become an electrician. I spent 40 years at it.
Yeah.
I retired from it.
And then you retired.
You have 2 children. They're wonderful people.
Oh yeah, I got 2 kids. We had some good times in life. It wasn't great.
He always talks about how well the VA's been to him.
The VA's been good to you.
I have got no complaints whatsoever.
You know, one of the things that I asked Wayne about last week was PTSD. I said, you know, we have some of these guys who are coming back now who are struggling with PTSD and veteran suicide at a really high rate right now.
Yeah.
I said, so when you guys came back, was that, because Wayne said that everybody in his class went over, that even one girl went over. And so I said, you and your classmates, did you struggle with PTSD and things? And he just waved his hand and he said, we didn't have a name for it, we just dealt with it. You know?
That's all we could do.
Did you have struggles when you were young with that kind of stuff?
Well, no, I tell you, being 20 years old, 95, 96, there's a whole different outlook completely.
Right.
Back then, young, you was able to throw things off. You know, you could take them and throw them off the wall.
Right.
Now you couldn't, but at that time, you was able to throw a lot of that off.
Yeah.
Just shoulder it and give it a toss.
Right. Just not think about it. Yeah.
Well, Ova also, I'm sorry if I'm overstepping and sharing, but he has a great faith. He has a very close relationship with God, and have your whole life, haven't you?
Oh yeah, my wife, well, Catholics.
Right.
And we stayed with the church.
Yeah.
Right.
And they stayed with us.
Right.
So, you know, we get along, we back and forth. Father comes up to see me.
But do you think that your faith at that time helped get you through being a prisoner of war and getting back to your wife?
Gives you a little backbone,
Mm-hmm.
I would say.
I would agree.
My uncle had a lot of problems from coming back from Vietnam, but being a younger generation, like you said,
Yeah.
plus, you know, he drank alcohol and stuff, and you've never been a
No,
drinker
I was
or
a
anything.
country boy. I never was much of a drinker.
Right.
I've tasted all kinds of booze,
Right.
because but I wasn't stuck with it.
Right.
I wasn't a drunk or a avid
Right.
drinker or anything like that.
Yeah.
But in camp, if we could get an overnight pass,
Right.
man, the nearest tavern got it.
You're right. I think that's pretty normal even now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and having that camaraderie with your fellow soldiers probably was very important.
I've got one, he just died a short time ago from Seymour. He and I just that's where we met.
Right.
In the military, you met him?
We met the first day, same camp, same outfit, the
Right.
whole deal. We become friends.
Was he captured with you?
He was captured with me, and we would remain friends and
He was from
buddies
Seymour, Indiana?
all of our lives.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Did your wives get to meet each other?
Oh yeah, they were the best of friends. Well, they've come to our house many a time. Stayed for 3 days. We've been to their place.
Right.
But he had a lumber yard. And anything I wanted, I could over and get it.
That's wonderful. You made a lifelong friend through all of that.
We,
Two Indiana boys in a
Yeah.
prisoner camp in Germany together.
What
was his name?
Darledge.
Darledge.
Melvin. Darledge Lumber Company.
That's
I
awesome.
guess
That's
his
amazing, Ova. I didn't know that. That's amazing to
Right.
be 20 years old and get sent to war and be captured and make a lifelong friend like
Oh,
that.
yeah. There was other guys there from Indiana, but they didn't come. Some of them didn't come home.
Did you keep in touch with anybody else from the
Oh,
military?
yeah, they used to have a reunion.
Oh, did they?
Oh, yeah, and the last one we had was in Pittsburgh. And we met there to hold we had 3 days. We had a good time. Renewed old friendships.
Well, you guys all had a strong bond, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It makes a big difference. So then I'm going to pause